Hello from Brussels, and as the European Parliament's rapporteur for the country, I'm very delighted to welcome you back to Howitt with my colleagues in the country, and only so sorry that I can't be there with you at this important eDemocracy conference. To our colleagues from Slovenia, from Next Sense and from the Centre for Economic Development, together with my own colleagues from the EU delegation in Skopje and to the Macedonian Centre for International Cooperation, I am proud and honoured to be part of welcoming you to this conference and wishing it every success. Coming from my own country, the United Kingdom, eDemocracy is a huge issue for us, and I hope some of the British colleagues will be with you. As a democratically elected politician myself, we have experimented with different voting techniques, and I remember going up to an 80-year-old elderly lady once prior to an election and asking her whether on election day she would be voting for my party. And probably a little patronisingly, I raised my voice, and perhaps I wasn't as polite as I should have been in doing so, thinking that she might be a little hard of understanding or of hearing. And she just quickly replied to me, "Oh, don't worry, dear, I've already voted by mobile telephone." So there we are. Some of our assumptions about democracy need to be challenged, and eDemocracy, if it is to be effective, can be available and accessible to everyone in our population. As a former local municipal councillor myself in Great Britain, I'm also acutely aware of our experience in trying to provide local government services across all the range of services through single contact points using computer terminals within different communities. And I'm very well aware as well of the work at the European level, speaking as a member of the European Parliament, to try to respond to this massive social change that is taking place with mass mobilisations across Europe and probably across the world using social media, which is really already changing our democracy. No politicians have sat down and determined that it should happen. So, for example, on the recent discussions that took place in the European Parliament on the agreement on anti-counterfeiting, there was this huge mobilisation of individual people and citizens who were worried that a deal had been made, in their view in secret, that would inhibit freedom on the internet, and asked us in the European Parliament to reject that agreement and to ensure there was a more public, more open, more transparent process to deal with, of course, the important issues of anti-counterfeiting and intellectual property. And what is important to say is the European Parliament did just that, and it is a sign of the power of eDemocracy that is emerging across Europe as a whole and across the world. Our own colleagues in Brussels in DG Information Society are doing a lot of work on this. It's one of the best bits of the European Commission, and I'm aware, looking not just into the Balkans region but to other countries on Europe's borders where we are seeking enlargement of the European Union, or indeed the enhanced cooperation that we have through our neighbourhood policy, that in those countries, perhaps particularly in the light of the Arab Spring, what's put on the internet, having access to the internet, to social media, to mobile telephone networks, the actions of some mobile telephone networks and internet service providers denying access, the importance of denying those who would censor freedom of expression, and also, as I myself have sponsored in the European Parliament, seeking to find some rules that avoid the export of technologies from Europe that can be used for censorship. These are all very lively and current issues in Europe's external relations, and I hope will be part of your discussions here in Ohrid as well. Finally, I want to say this to you. I am deeply proud of my work for and my relationship with everyone in the country. It is a small but proud country, and it's one that I fervently hope and am working to ensure will be a future member of the European Union. I'm very well aware, whether it's in this country or in the others that will be future members of the European Union, that democracy has been fragile, is strengthening, is deepening, that institutions haven't always been trusted, are sometimes young in their life, and again are developing their maturity and their trust within them. And they're developing all of the time. And so therefore in new institutions, like a conference I was involved in the country only last week, talking about decentralisation and the next steps in giving greater powers to local government within this country, that as those new institutions and new relationships develop, it is absolutely the right time for us to be talking about ensuring that the e-democracy aspect of that development is thought of and not left until afterwards and dealt with only as an add-on. So I hope that's true in this country, as of all the countries represented in this conference. In my work as the rapporteur and that of my European colleagues, we will hope to encourage that in partnership with people here. And although I'm not able to be with you, I'm looking forward to finding the results of the conference and helping in efforts to implement them here across the Balkans and across Europe and its borders. Thank you very much.